there was something illegal about it. The government, at the very end, we're almost at the end of that trial, has asked the judge to stay the proceedings, meaning stop, and just keep us hanging so that we can't even get our day in court. We have fully proven, in fact, that Madagascar was legal. We've had affidavits from the Madagascar government and so forth. We feel totally abused, and we believe an arrogance of federal power is impacting me personally, our company personally, and the employees here in Tennessee, and it's just plain wrong. That's kind of my nickel speech here, and I would be very happy to answer questions, and I have specifics as well.
So are the allegations about the wood in India is that they're alleging that it's somehow illegal also?
You know, first of all, they have not told us what was specifically illegal. And we infer from the case that we have here in Nashville that their position is that since wood, specifically we're talking about fingerboard blanks, which are partially finished fingerboards that we then put on the guitar and finish. That because they're partially finished, they cannot be exported because Indian law, in this case we're talking about Indian rosewood, Indian law requires that all the work be done in India before it's exported. So in other words, if they finish the fingerboard in India and send it here, that's okay. But if they send it partially finished and American workers work on it, that's not okay, that's illegal by Indian law.
Can you offer a brief history of how the companies tried to comply with the Lacey Act since it was expanded to accommodate plants? What steps?
Well, what steps we have specifically taken? Well, we had a very active program of certification. And so I'm on the board of directors of Rainforest Alliance. We had a program even before the first raid where a great percentage of our wood was certified by the Forest Stewardship Council. Not all, but a large percentage. We've expanded that program, and we are now going into what's called controlled wood. To meet the certification process, there's like a 200-page requirement. And not all species of wood can meet that. They're not grown on plantations, logged as individual trees. And so there's a secondary level of certification. It's not true certification, called controlled wood, which is what we're going. So we very aggressively have sought out sources, both certified and controlled wood. And the vast majority of our wood already is that. The wood that was confiscated was controlled wood.
Are you saying that you really are under the impression you were not supposed to ship anything?
I can actually just the execution of this warrant. I found containing ebony and reticle as described above. However, the United States considers all items containing such wood, including guitars, both finished and unfinished, to be prohibited for sale or transport across state lines pursuant to the Lacey Act. Please be advised that each instance of sale or transportation of such items could be considered an additional violation of the Lacey Act by the United States, and it could lead to additional
items in general, do they now have from one company that they take yesterday?
Well, I can tell you in dollar amounts, it's almost $1 million of value. And what it does is it shut down production. You know, we use that as raw materials. If they take our raw materials, we can't produce the products. It's been extremely disruptive beyond just the value of the material.
So right now you're just not, you're technically threatening to violate more laws in their opinion.
Supposedly every guitar that we build, you know, is a technical criminal violation.
So are you going to stop doing it, or are you going to?
Well, I've taken personal responsibility. I've instructed our staff to continue building the product, and I'm taking personal responsibility for that action, because I can't have our employees exposed to criminal action. And we are noticing the Justice Department that I'm taking that step and making that decision, and we'll see what they do.
And as far as a share of your guitars that you make, I mean, in Nashville and Memphis, these two plants, how many of the guitars you make come from here?
Well, in terms of Gibson brand guitars, about 95% between this plant, the custom shop, which is a few blocks from here, and the Memphis facility.
And you guys say you have all of the documentation you need to support your
Yes,
your
we do.
side on the India as far as the
Yeah, you can't really export from India without having appropriate, you know, you don't just slap it up on a ship. And there are whole procedures that are quite complex, where you have to have the right certificates, you have to have inspections, It had to be approved by customs to get in the United States. So when you import in the United States, customs has to check all those documents, including Lacey Act statements, and certify them before they even pass them on to us.
Do you feel singled out as a company, given that there's hundreds of luthiers in the country and that they'd probably all be sitting on wood that could be in violation?
Well, you know, quite frankly, every large company, and luthiers buy in small quantities. They may not buy Indian wood, but any large company in the guitar business is using Indian rosewood and ebony. That's the major source of that product in the world. Okay, and we are the only company that has been singled out. Other companies are using it today without any ramifications, any notice, anything.
Are you 100% confident in the legality of your supply chain, including any middlemen? Is there any chance that anything could be going wrong between the supplier and you?
You know, obviously what I don't know, I don't know. So I can't, you know, I'm not God. I can't see behind people's backs and so forth. But to the extent possible, we have certified, I mean, we take it quite seriously. And, but I have to repeat that the issue here is not whether this wood is legally logged. This is not about conservation. This is not about the environment. This is specifically about a law in India that requires domestic labor content that we are enforcing.
Then why is it the Fish and Wildlife Service?
Because the Lacey Act is a fish and wildlife law, and wood is under that jurisdiction. The Lacey Act does is it says that you must comply with the law of all countries from which you source product. And so they have the obligation under that law to enforce the whatever legal code, you know, the source product is in, whether it's India, Madagascar, you know, Honduras, whatever.
The previous one was Madagascar, and that was the previous issue. This
That's
one
correct.
is Indian,
This one is Indian.
Indian ebony and Indian rosewood.
Yeah, which is, you know, a pretty big surprise to us, frankly.
Are you still importing from Madagascar?
No, we are not.
And was the 09
It's not
raid?
illegal.
What was the 09 raid? Did that have any impact on a decision to contract with India or supply from India?
We were buying from India, and we were buying from the same
At the same time?
for many years.
Okay.
The Lacey Act is very recent. That law was passed, you know, approximately 2 years ago. So it's not like that law's been around for a long time. But according to this law, if you bought a guitar from us and you resell it, you are criminally liable. You, not us. Everyone who touches the product, the store owner who sells that guitar, is criminally liable. It doesn't matter whether he knew or not there was some issue. It's a pretty dangerous precedent in my opinion.
Do you have vendors back away?
Not at this point. But certainly everybody in the industry is very, very concerned.
Are you making any kind of emergency appeal to members of Congress and sort of saying this has turned into this unintended, clearly, situation, trying to get something remedied?
Well, we certainly, I'm making a lot of calls right now. I've talked to them before when the first raid happened. Really, we're in this, really incredible situation. We have been implicated in wrongdoing, and we haven't been charged with anything. And our business has been injured to millions of dollars. We don't even have a court that we could go to and say, well, look, here's our position. Here's our, that's kind of an unusual position. And they're shutting us down. And there's no judge, there's no jury, there's no due process. I think that's a little wacky.
So a judge had to sign the search warrant.
Yes. There was a judge that signed the search warrant. That's correct.
What did the search warrant say?
That they're able to search for, they had a list of about 100 items. Pretty much it was anything.
How were yesterday's raids related to an investigation in Texas?
Texas.
Mm-hmm. I read in some media reports that it's linked to a possible investigation of Gibson in Texas, and I just wanted.
Did they come through the port of Houston or something? Is that the deal?
I haven't heard anything about Texas, and I don't know.
That was something the Fish and Wildlife. I mean, they told me, that the investigation began out of Texas. That's something that I was told.
Do you have any facilities or dealings in Texas?
Well, we have an office in Austin. It's an entertainment office, but I don't think that is. So I'm not aware. No one has contacted us. We don't have any factories in Texas.
After the previous raid here, and we reported they took 6 guitars. Did they take more than that? I mean, I assume they did. 6 seems awfully low, but
I don't know.
You don't know?
I wasn't there. But
after that, you guys stopped dealing with Madagascar in terms of, was that a direct result of that raid? Was that?
Oh yeah, man. The feds come in, and the thing is, if people wanted to stop us from doing something, you would think they'd tell you in advance. Well, look, guys, we have a problem with this. You need to do something. Give us a plan. 2 cases, we had a SWAT team treating us like drug guys come in and shut us down with no notice. And, that's just wrong. I mean, we're a business, we're making guitars. Armed people in SWAT attire is just inappropriate.
And have they been able to, have you kept any kind of communication channel with that office? Do you talk to them? Does the legal counsel talk to them on an ongoing basis?
Well, to the extent they will talk to us. The case, we have one case here in Nashville, which I alluded to. It's still dragging on. They have missed deadlines. The government has missed deadlines. They wanted to delay it another 6 months. And they could do whatever they want, I guess.
Is there any guitar manufacturing that will be happening now, or does this completely shut you guys down from making either acoustic or electric guitars?
Well, we hope to continue to manufacture. That's an ongoing dialogue with the Justice Department. So I can't really answer that.
Is there any going on now?
Probably, but I don't think that's still an ongoing dialogue.
So can you be very clear? Are you going to be making? I thought you were saying you take personal responsibility because you are going to keep making guitars.
My intent is to do that. But I am also noticing the Justice Department. That is the case, right?
You want to hear what they have to say about you saying that
yes. Yeah, you might be interviewing me in jail in another hour or so. I don't know. We'll see.
How much money would Gibson stand to lose by shutting down for the period of time the government says?
Million, you know. I mean, one day it easily cost us $1 million. I mean, they're all our entire business, you know. And, it's not like a small thing.
You said under the Lacey Act that customers are implicated as criminals if they purchase these guitars?
Yes, they have been. And it has nothing to do with, you know, that's a big thing in our industry.
But
you know, a lot of the retailers are quite
right.
concerned.
But is that what is your take on the ethics of passing that criminal implication onto the customers?
Well, you know, I hate to expound on ethics. I'm a businessman, right? But I don't think it's fair.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's an issue of just plain common sense fairness, okay? And, you know, you don't abuse one company versus another company. You treat people the same, you know? And, but apparently that's not necessary if you're the federal government. You know, most people would say you have to know you did something wrong to do something wrong. This law says no. You don't have to have done anything wrong to be going to jail. And so there are some really, and there's some technical issues that I won't get into that are not sound bites that make this law really unfair and provocative from a constitutional standpoint.
Is there a specific model of guitars or all Gibsons made in the past year, a few years?
You know, all our guitars use rosewood and ebony. All guitars, you know, there's a very few guitars that maybe use maple fig.
Why do you think Gibson was focused on more so than other companies?
I don't know, but we are. It's a fact. You know, they haven't shared anything. Everything is sealed. They won't tell us a thing.
Do you think this hurts the company's reputation?
Well, yeah, we're in the press. People assume that you're getting investigated by the federal government, that you're guilty. And, you know, we can't even say we're not guilty of this because we're just guilty of something they can't tell us yet. Think about that. We're guilty of something they can't tell us what it is yet. How do you respond to that? You know, maybe you guys can help me out.
Have other guitar manufacturers, have they contacted you to offer any support or solidarity?
I haven't asked for it. I know of a few of the other guys in the industry, and I'm sure they would. There's really not, other than writing letters perhaps to their congressman, there's really not that much they can do. And, they have the risk of maybe getting shot at if they raise their hand. And I don't blame them for being a little shy of the issue.
Is the Lacey Act the only statute here that's really caused a cock-up as far as you're concerned, or is there a matrix of laws and regulations?
Well, I think there are two things. One is the Lacey Act. The Lacey Act has the problem is it leaves a lot to interpretation. In other words, it says that you must use your something like judicious efforts to make sure you don't do anything wrong. What that means in legalese is you don't have to know it's wrong. You should have known it's wrong if you didn't spend or do some certain things, but it never defined what those certain things you have to do to meet that test are. And so that's like a giant blank check for a prosecutor. Because, frankly, they could say anything. There is no administrative procedure to ensure that you comply with the law. That's just a bad, malformed law. The other thing is, the law is about judgment. Okay, there's speeding laws, and it's about how you apply those laws. And there's a rational, if you have rational people applying those laws, that's great. And there's a judgment. Do you want to really spend $20 million to, go after Gibson guitar? Or do you want to spend $20 million in another place? There are lots of, issues to spend money on. And the federal bureaucracy is just out of hand. And there seems to me there's almost a class warfare. You know, companies versus people, rich versus poor, Republicans versus Democrats, liberals versus, you know, and there's just a lack of somebody that stands up and says, you know what, I'm about everyone. I'm about everyone. Okay, I think I'm really about America and doing what's good for the country, and not fighting these little battles. So the Lacey Act, I was told, and this is hearsay, I was told it was passed by a congressperson in Oregon at the behest of lumber unions. And lumber unions wanted to achieve American companies buying American lumber as opposed to foreign. So that's not a national objective. That is an environment, you know, mom and apple pie. That's somebody looking at their own small agenda. And it has had these unintended consequences. So maybe that's okay, but where is the person that says, you know, the national agenda is served if this happens? And I think that's lacking. That's my 2 cents.
So the basis for the warrant was that you had illegally seized wood from India, or got wood from India. Am I understanding that right?
Basis of the warrant? No, there is no basis of the warrant. It just says
there wasn't an affidavit with it that said we have probable cause to believe X.
No,
there wasn't.
There was not.
So how do you know it concerns the wood from India?
We don't. It's been suggested because of our court case. I don't know that for a fact.
But that's what they seized, right?
But that's what they seized, and we assume that since that's what they're arguing in the court case, that that's the issue. But we don't know that for certain.
And your argument is that the stuff from India you got lawfully because the Indian government approved it for export?
Yeah, let me just read something. You know, that's very technical stuff, and so let me read it. So we had a seizure of this wood. Indian supplier has thoroughly documented that the goods in question were legally exported from India in accordance with current Indian laws and regulations. Generally, the following documents have to be submitted to the Indian authorities prior to export: copy of IEC import-exporter registration, invoice and packing list, proof of purchase from a government-controlled depot trader, and a sawmill license. Without the above documents, export permission for the consignment in question would not have been granted. The shipping bill, proof of export permission from the responsible authority after physical verification of the consignment and related documents is not only stamped by the airport itself, but also by the Office of the Deputy Commissioner of Customs. So the goods have passed customs, which would not have been possible if the supplier had not presented the above documents. Further, the accompanying documents such as certificate of origin and phytosanitary certificate would not have been issued if the export was not permitted. Additionally, the goods are FSC controlled wood, i.e. their legal origin has been verified beyond doubt by an independent third party. WWF has confirmed that the species are not listed under the CITES Act, CITES. Letter from DGFT, the Directorate General of Foreign Trade of the Government of India, stating that the goods are freely exportable, super legislation through the highest government body of the previous steps, everything that could and should be done, and all relevant and required documents do exist and can be presented.
What are you reading? What is that?
It is notes on what happened.
Your own notes, not.
Did you write them, or?
This is.
other people contributed to that, yeah. Why?
Well, these are not.
I just want to know how to describe what
This
you
is not
just did.
federal admission that those.
This
steps
is
were
not a
taken.
no. This is not
Gibson
from the. This is not from the federal government.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
It's not. This is a document generated internally.
And the court case you're referring to that makes you guess that this has to do with Indian wood is the forfeiture
Correct.
proceeding?
Yes,
I thought that had to do with Madagascar wood.
it does.
So where does the connection to India arise from that case?
There are similar laws in India.
Okay. And you're not doing it for Madagascar anymore?
No.
Okay.
You should ask the feds. Go ask them.
We're trying.
Maybe they'll tell you. All right.
Thanks for taking the time.
Did you say you had some paperwork?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me give you my press release.
I didn't get your name, by the way.
It's on the paper, press release. Fully spelled. We will take calls at some future time if there are questions.
Are you Henry?
I am.
And pronounce your last name for me.
Juszkiewicz.
Juszkiewicz.
So it's very phonetically. Wow, popular. Be happy to clarify anything here as well.
Can I see the... Yeah.
No, that's just my internal.
No, not that one. I thought you read something from the Justice Department concerning...
Yeah, that's from the Justice Department.
You don't have a copy of the report.
I don't have a copy.
It's supposed to be made available soon.
Anybody else?
And yesterday's raid was completely out of the blue for you.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. They did not, when they came here to execute this, give you any documentation whatsoever?
They gave us a warrant. You know, they had a warrant.
So you do have it?
Yes, we had a warrant.
Okay. I thought you just said you don't have it.
I don't have one now. I don't have a warrant with me. That's correct.
I just want to make sure we're saying that
They had a warrant. They executed duty the raid.
Can you read that part again about how they're saying it's unlawful for you to do?
Yeah, not really. I think you got the gist of it. I would suggest you contact them if that's their.
And this is the only facility that they visited yesterday.
No, they did our headquarters. They did Memphis.
Did they take anything from the headquarters?
They took hard drives. Yes, they did take stuff.
Do you know what was on the hard drives or why they would?
Everything.
Okay.
They were not really looking for anything. They just
Is anything going on today, Gibson? Like, are you guys doing any kind of manufacturing?
sure, we're doing something.